All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining in. It's a Saturday evening. I know it's a long weekend. Thank you for taking our time from your personal and family time and listening to this call and attending it. Rachna will be leading this call. She's got a nice presentation going on. As we start building up, there'll be a lot of questions. I'm sure you guys have either penned down or while in the presentation, you might have more questions. Please pen it down. We will give some time out to answer all your questions. In case if your question left unanswered, feel free to reach out to Rachna or myself, and we can help you. Swimming, I think one of my favorite sport. I think all of us have paying a lot of attention to this part of the triathlon. So let's get going. Swimming season is starting. So Rachna, all yours. Let's take it from here. What do you have in store for us?
Thank you, Coach. So, you know, when a coach just said let's do this theory session, that's a lot of swimming is a technical sport. So there's a lot you can learn outside of the pool. Of course, you have to go and do it, practice within the pool, but first you have to understand what it is that you need to do and also the terms. So we're gonna take you through that. Mm, we're not moving.
If you want to just, yeah.
Okay, so going through a little bit of basics first. I know a lot of you will know this, but we do have some beginners on the call, but also want to pick up some things and you might have some questions. So just your swim gear and equipment, of course, your costume. Now, you don't want anything with drag, so please no beach shorts for the guys, no skirts for the ladies. You can do the shorts, yes, but your swimwear should be fitting you well. So you need a swim cap and goggles. So actually the cheapest sport, these are only three things that you really need to start swimming. Um, Goggles, I just want to pick up on that. So um, a lot of people say my goggles fog, and this is why we tend to pick it up over our head. When your goggles are on, if you put them up on your head and then put it back down, they're going to fog. All goggles, modern goggles, have anti-fog lining, so you do not want to touch this. I see people cleaning the fog with their hands. You're basically destroying your lining. Yeah, so the best way to do it is to spit in it or get yourself Johnson's baby shampoo. um, that is better than an anti-fog spray, because those are chemicals. Johnson Baby shampoo is very light. Just drop a few drops, rinse it, and you're good to go. So your fogging will stop. That's a tip for you. Um, some people need earplugs. This is to keep out the cold. This is to keep out infections. You don't need it if unless there's an issue. I prefer swimmers don't have use it. You can't use it. You can in races, but you can't hear then very well. So the other thing is a nose clip for some people. I will come to the breathing, and they have issues breathing where the water really bothers them. So those are optional. Then you have your equipment. You have a kickboard, hand paddles, a pull buoy. You'll see this is what hand paddles are like. These are pull buoys. You have fins, a snorkel, and of course, you will have a smartwatch. Again, these are all optional, and usually you would only use it if you need to. Um, and we can go back to that on how those help you. So freestyle, there are 5 strokes in swimming. Um, Freestyle, backstroke, breaststroke, butterfly, and underwater, which is also considered a stroke, not competitive, but to help you swim. So we are only going to talk about freestyle today, also known as front crawl or just free. This is the fastest and most efficient, and definitely the swim that most triathletes or swimmers will use. There is nothing wrong, and it is allowed in any race for you to swim in any stroke. There I know very fast breaststrokers as well. So it is a personal choice what stroke that you want to swim. Now, in freestyle, the arm stroke accounts for 90% of your propulsion, meaning moving you forward. The kick only accounts for 10%. Yet you will see that a lot of people kick, and we'll also come down to what is the role of the kick. It has a role, but it's not to move you faster forward unless you're going to be sprinting. Again, we'll come to that. Okay, so the first thing I want to do to keep us healthy and prevent injury is to warm up. And these are the areas, and I'm going to just hand over to coach who's going to talk about this part.
All right. Thanks, Rachna. All right, guys. Quick thing. A lot of us, what we do is whenever we are getting to start with our swim, the first thing what we most of us do is we just get into the water, do a few laps easy and thinking that this is the warm up. Um, a very, very common, stress injury, which we start facing is that once you start building up your swim volume, your shoulder or your upper back, your traps and your upper back starts giving you discomfort. Now, there are multiple reasons why they start doing that. Of course, there is excessive usage. And when you're pulling, of course, the work on the stroke has to be done. And most of us, when we breathe, we are breathing unilaterally. So there's a lot of load which comes up. So overall, there's a lot of fatigue which settles in. Add to it, if you're not warmed up well, this will, cause to injury, and especially, you feel the load in the shoulder or the upper back. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we do some good, dynamic stretches, specifically on your shoulders, your upper back, and swimming is a lot of rotational work. So we make sure we, do rotational warm ups. If you are joining me regularly in the morning sessions, we do a lot of drills to open up your shoulders, the external rotations. We do a lot of rotational of the shoulder through your, through your arms. So we do a lot of upper body movement and warm up. Along with it, what an important factor is the like Rachna said, kicking plays a 10% role. In kicking, most important is your ankle. A lot of times, Rachna is going to talk about it in this, but we are not efficiently kicking is because we have tight ankles. So put, a couple of rotational movements for your ankle. There is a complete video which we have made for your warm up. It's not going to take you more than 5 to 7 minutes. Once the swimming starts at the pool, we will be doing some out of the water kind of a session to make sure that you guys are warmed up well and you know the techniques. TheraBands is something which is a must keep in your toolkit. Along with the mini bands, these are all small little tools which should be in your kit bag to make sure that you do the warm up. I'm not going to go through all the exercises. There are videos which are already been shared, but we can always share it after this call. But rotational movements of your shoulder, your upper back, ankles, these three are very, very important, which each and every swimmer should start looking at it. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, coach. Okay, so now we're going to go right into breaking down the stroke. So there are a few areas that you're going to focus on. We have the head, the arms, your breathing, body rotation, and your legs. So I'm going to start with the head. Now, this is something I find even a advanced swimmer will do. It's a very natural reflex to start looking forward. What we want our head to do is look down, and it should be neutral. Your ears should be in the water. If you're holding your head, you're stressing your neck, and a lot of the time.
हाँ हाँ वो फ्रिज में रख दो नीचे.
Okay, can we mute? Thank you. So the biggest mistake is trying to look forward, and if you see this image, this person's head is up. Look immediately what happens to the back of his legs. Your head is the heaviest part of your body. The minute you pick your head up, your legs are going to go down. Okay, so I just added one little thing here, that swimming is a sensory sport, because a lot of people say, but then coach, how do I see? When you're swimming, and you're going to be using all your senses. So you will be looking down, or to the right when you breathe, or left, but you still want to be aware. So awareness is a very important thing in swimming, to be aware of who is in front of you, left, right, and this is with experience. But head will stay down when you are swimming. Yeah, and you can see this guy is doing that, right? That. Okay, breathing. So we're not holding our breaths. We're exhaling continuously while your face is downward. Now, also, your face has to be relaxed. You must exhale all the water in your mouth before we clear. So I get this question a lot, is that, coach, how much should I exhale, should exhale everything, you will leave around 10% of air in your lungs. A lot of the times when you swim, and this happens a lot in a crowded pool or in the open water, you turn your head to breathe and you can't breathe because there's water. So what you do is you're putting your head back down and you're going for your last final exhale and then coming up. So there's always going to be a little bit of air. Don't feel that I can't exhale out if I can't breathe in. And how do we exhale? We always inhale with our mouth. We exhale with our mouth and our nose. This allows you to expel any water. When you turn your head, you'll always have. Now, a lot of you, I see spitting. When you finish your lap, you'll spit out. There's a lot of spit in your mouth. That means you're closing your mouth and you're not exhaling. The minute you close your mouth and you keep your mouth shut, the water and the saliva is going to create more saliva and you're going to then want to spit. So yes, pools are not a clean place. When you are exhaling out all the water from when you turn your head, exhaling and then exhaling through your nose. Now, the way to check this is that you close your mouth after you have exhaled and then check that you're exhaling from your nose, and you're exhaling from your nose through a nice big force so that you can inhale again. Another thing I find is that a lot of you will exhale not enough, and then you're still exhaling when you are breathing out. So what happens is you are wasting time because you are exhaling a little bit and inhaling, and that ruins your stroke. So you see here that person is exhaling from the nose. Now, this is a very interesting picture. Now, when you turn your mouth to inhale, you are lifting your head. If you're lifting your head, you're doing it wrong. All you're doing is rotating your head just enough for your mouth to come out. Now, what we call is one goggle in, one goggle out. If both your goggles are coming out, you're rotating too much. You just need your mouth out. Now, that looks like there's a lot of water, but when you're swimming correctly with your head neutral, you're pushing your head, the water with your head. And what happens, you see a ship goes like this and the brow and the water is on the sides. What happens is there is an air pocket over here. So you actually just need to breathe, take your head, mouth out a little bit. And if your head is neutral, that air pocket is going to allow you to breathe. So breathing is absolutely relaxed. It's absolutely consistent. When you're doing anything else, running, walking, working, you are never holding your breath. So why do we hold our breath or breathe inconsistently in the water? It's all the same. We have to breathe absolutely relaxed and consistently. So you can work on this in the pool. You can build it up by doing underwater swimming. So you're basically building up your lung capacity. When many of you started, you couldn't swim 25 meters, right? Because your lung capacity was you're still not used to it. So what you should do is breathe every 2 strokes, then 4 strokes, then 6 strokes to build that capacity. When you swim normally, again, whether you swim breathe every 2 strokes or 4 strokes is up to you. When you speed up, it is hard to manage a 4-stroke. So you will come down to a 2-stroke, but there's no correct or incorrect way of how often you want to breathe, as long as your breathing is relaxed and consistent. So out of the pool, work on any breathing techniques. There is the, coach, what's it called? The breathing thing that you have, the aero.
It's called the AeroFit. I generally use this.
Yeah.
It helps you, of course, strengthen your lungs and your diaphragm, and it really kind of works out. But it has an application along with, and it has application along with it. So you just have to follow those drills. It's called AeroFit. It's easily available in most of the stores. Cyclocraze, I think, still keeps it, but you can always look at online also. Totally up to you.
Okay. I was looking for the normal one you get at the chemist, which is those 3 balls. So that's what I use. Okay, now this is to do with your buoyancy, is to do with also your breathing. And I don't know if any of you have tried this. What you should do is learn your buoyancy. So your breathing is related to your lungs, which is your in and out capacity. So what happens is if you might breathe a lot stronger, exhale out more than somebody else. And knowing your buoyancy is very important. So when I know everyone thinks that they're going to sink and drown and die in the pool, in the deep, but most people can float in the water, and you have to try this to understand your own buoyancy. And if you fill your lungs and hold your breath, you will float. Okay, so coming to the legs, we said that legs is not making us propelling us forward. So what are we doing? Why do we need our legs? The legs are to keep you horizontal on the water. It is there to stabilize your body when you swim. And I'm just gonna play this video. Okay, something I want you to notice, his left leg, very straight, right leg, yes, bends a little bit. We all have these little idiosyncrasies, doesn't mean, we can't swim, but if you notice, his ankles are pointed and the kick is coming from the glutes, not the knee. So that is something that we have to do. And the way to think of it is that if you are kicking a football, you bring your leg back and you're bringing your leg back. So upwards when you're horizontal, leg up and then down. A lot of us do not do the upward movement. We're not using our glutes. All we're doing is moving our legs, but not efficiently. So it's not about kicking more, it's about kicking with a little more effort. Okay, so the common mistakes in kicking: using a large kick where you're kicking too wide, and I'm talking about here vertical, the kick too wide versus splaying. Of course, if you're splaying your legs, you're completely swimming wrong. So we don't want a large kick. A large kick creates drag, and that is a lot why we move slowly. The kick is in the shadow of your body. So if your top and bottom of your body, that's how much your kick should be. And your kick should just be on the surface. We're not trying to break the surface too much, and we're not trying to go beyond our body too much. If we're bending our knees, that's what I call a doggy kick or donkey kick, or what they call a bicycle kick. You're going to create, your knees are going to drag your legs and create resistance. Using too much power. So when we kick, especially when we are kicking up, we don't want to put too much force down, just enough to keep us streamlined. And then of course, especially my runners, you have stiff ankles and your feet are pointing downwards. Even if you're thinking, we're pointing back, and the point is where you're really going to stretch your legs. Coming to arms. Now, this is the most important. Remember, that's giving you 90% of your propulsion, and a lot of mistakes here. So I'm just going to go through it a little bit more in detail. These are the different aspects of your arm: your entry, your extension, when you move your hand forward, fingertip press. Now, what is that? When we start moving, and I'm going to go into each one in detail. When we start moving our hand for our push back, what we want to do is we want to press our fingertips down. Okay, and that's going to give us our EVF, which is our early vertical forearm, which what all of us know as high elbow. And then of course you have your recovery. So this is the entry, this picture, and this is fingertips first. So we always want our fingers, and yes, it's the middle finger. We don't want this, we don't want that, we don't want the thumb. So fingertip first, That's where we are entering. And where are we entering? We're entering just between your arm, your end of your arm and your head. So not too close, not overreaching. And I'm going to come to overreaching and why it's a very critical mistake. But just where your wrist is of the other arm is where you're going to enter. Okay. So I'm going to come back to that. Early vertical forearm. So this is the start of your catch. Now, catch is the most important part of your arm movement. When our arm is above the water, that's called dead time. So your recovery, you're not going anywhere with when you're recovery arm. All your work is happening below the inside the water. So what do we want to do? We want to grip the maximum amount of water in order to pull us forward, right? And that's going to improve your stroke and efficiency. Now, the goal is to position your forearm as close to vertical. Now, I see people doing this, okay, where we do 90 degrees. It's not 90 degrees. What we want, and we're not going to lift our shoulder either. So what we want to do is we want to get the elbow out over here and push down with our fingertips. Okay. Now, by doing this, now, if you go forward straight without pushing out, it's all science. What you're doing, you're only moving this much water. When you do this, you're moving this much water back. And that's why it's important to have the EVF. Okay, so strengthening your pull, this is the most important focusing on your catch. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways. So as you see, the elbow is out. Yeah. And it's not 90 degrees, but it's around 122 actually. But this is what you want to be. You want to be your elbow out and your fingertips below it at the most important time of your catch. So you see, this is the start of it is 146, it goes to 122. And you see it from the front. So this is actually called a power diamond. It's half of a diamond, and that's the most important. So you're pulling all this water between your body and your elbow. So this is where your speed is happening. And go back to that. Yeah, so if you look at this image, the one on the top, the elbow is out, fingertips are pointing down. And this is where the elbow is pushing the water back and not the fingers. The elbow is downwards. So here is your recovery. Now, one very big problem which everyone has is keeping your hands tight. We want to be relaxed. The only time you're going to be using that is when you are pushing back. The rest of the time, your recovery arm, you have to be able to move this arm. It is very relaxed. And that, if you're not, this is what happens when you start having pain here on your shoulder. And that's because you're keeping your arm tight. And it's also going to help. So here we have a couple of images. That's why I want to share. Now you see the high elbow. See the high elbow here. Now see how the high elbow is moving forward. That is very important. It is not bring the elbow high and then drop it down in the front of you. The elbow stays high even when you're bringing it forward. It's all relaxed. All these palms are relaxed. And then they're going to enter fingertips first over here. So showing you the whole thing, the whole arm stroke, where the point where your hand enters the water, point where your hand begins to move in the opposite direction. So the fingers, again, fingertips are going first, going back. Here's your EVF, your elbow out, and coming up right till the palm, till your thigh, and then your recovery. here's another image which is more detailed. You have your first one, extension, fingertips going down, your vertical, and just bringing it, your push right till the thigh, elbow up, elbow forward, and your entry right here, just before your wrist, and extending. Okay. So, my favorite thing, and people think I'm a little crazy when I say this to them. You have to swim slow first to swim fast, because you have to get your technique and your glide. And that's what, so I'm going to show you what I mean by your glide. So this is endurance swimming. This is how we swim long distance, and we swim fast. But by that, I'll just put it one more time, or we good? So this is front quadrant, where both your arms, if you see, are in the front of your body when you're swimming. Now this is the difference. Okay, one more time, we're gonna watch that. Oh, okay, now this is the difference. That's a sprint. Okay, so oppositional arms, going really fast. You can only do that for 25, 50 meters. If you're an Olympic swimmer, maybe 100 or 200, but that's it. Yeah, we do not swim oppositional. We do not sprint. We sprint to train. We do maybe 25, maybe 50, even 100-meter sprints as to make us go fast, train us to go faster. But at the end of the day, we're going to swim endurance style. And this is why. So, okay. And this is where the fun starts. Your DPS, your distance per stroke. That is your stroke length that measures how far you travel with each arm. And this is your swimming efficiency. Okay? So what you want to do over 1900 or 3800 or whatever distance you're swimming is to swim a long distance with the least amount of effort, right? And it's also going to make you faster. It's going to reduce your fatigue. It's going to reduce your injuries. So the goal is not necessarily to swim the least amount of strokes, because we don't want to overreach. And again, I'm going to come to that later. But we have to find our sweet spot, okay, that allows you. So where you stop gliding and start pulling. So, okay, let me put it this way, is that, of course, you can continue to glide, but you need to pull as well. So you have to find that sweet spot that my glide has happened and my other arm is coming, and then I'm pulling. But distance per stroke is first where you have to focus. If you're not getting a distance per stroke, that's where the efficiency and the speed is not coming. If you're still at a 3 and a 240 and you want to drop it down. So why is it so important? If I'm pulling my arm and the other arm is letting me go as far as I can with that one stroke, that is your DPS. But if I keep swimming and I'm not going further, that's where you're not getting any efficiency and you're not going to swim faster. So what you want to do is you want to count your strokes every 25 meters for a while over time to check if you're improving, how far you're going. So over time, you should be dropping it to a certain extent. Now you can't drop it. Obviously, you can't do over 25 meters. You can't go down to 10. So that's where you have to find your sweet spot, that over 25 meters, constantly, I'm getting a great pace at 20 strokes. So you know your DPS is 20. And a good way to do this is to find out your SWOLF. Okay, so I don't know if any of you know what a SWOLF is, or if you even see your SWOLF. don't put too much into each time you swim, but you should know your average. So SWOLF is what you'll find on your Garmin or your watch after you swim. There will be a number which says SWOLF. SWOLF is actually the guy who made it is swimming plus golf. So it's basically you want a low SWOLF. Okay, just like you want a low golf number. So the SWOLF gives you your swimming speed and your stroke count. So it's a measurement, one of the measurements of your efficiency. So if you take, for example, 20 strokes in a 25-meter pool, and you took 30 seconds to complete that, you add it, and that's your SWOLF. So your SWOLF is 50. Now, a very elite swimmer would have a score under 30. Look at a score in your late 30s or under 45. And that would be a good, if you are above 50, you're really doing something wrong. My average SWOLF is around 38. Okay. Coach, what's yours? Do you know? I'm sure you have a good SWOLF.
No, Rachna, I think the last I saw was around the early 30s, but I don't
Yeah.
track it anymore.
Yeah. So once you have a good DPS and your efficiency, you're in that range, you're okay. But this is a good way for beginners, and if you feel that you're not getting your speed down, to check what your SWOLF is. Where are we going backwards? Okay. So how do we improve your DPS? You reduce your drag by improved body position. So, the legs, the head, what we talked about, the arms, and then more power through the arms. So you have to increase your propulsion and pull more water with each stroke. So definitely your EVF, very important. And of course, yeah, the stronger you are with your dry land training, you are going to, I don't have big muscles, but you have strength, and that's what's important. So improving your DPS, reducing your drag, getting more power in. Okay, coming to stroke rate. So these are the two things, DPS and stroke rate, right? So the sprinter you saw, where he's really sprinting, he has got a high stroke rate. That is the number of strokes you're completing in 1 minute. Not in one lap, but in 1 minute. A way to calculate it is in 10 seconds, if you have 6, so you just multiply it, and you know that in 1 minute you have 60. So what do you want to do? You want to have a high DPS, and then you pick up your stroke rate. That's your cadence. So in running terms, your stride per length and your cadence, it's the opposite in swimming. You want a higher length, and then your cadence picks up. So stroke rate which is why I've put this in red and bold, eventually you want to pick up your stroke rate to go faster, but without sacrificing your stroke length. If you start picking up your stroke rate and dropping your DPS, you're again going to swim slow. Okay. So age group triathlon swimmers, I've never checked mine, but range of 50 to 60 strokes per minute, but you can be higher or lower. So stroke rate is great, but you have to maintain a good DPS to maximize your efficiency. Do we want to take any questions here till now? No question.
Coach, I have a question. So I was just checking my stroke rate. So the stroke rate is 25 strokes per minute, which is fine.
Is that your stroke rate? Where are you getting that from?
The Garmin.
That'll be SWOLF.
No, SWOLF for a 50-meter pool is 82.
Okay. And your stroke rate
Whereas
is
for a 25-meter pool, it was 37. For a 50-meter pool, it is 82. And the stroke rate is coming out as 25 for a 50-meter pool.
okay. Yours shows stroke rate. Great. Okay. For a 50-meter pool, it's 25.
Strokes per minute. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's try and take that up and see. I mean, you're still swimming great. but you want, we can see if,
Want a faster stroke.
let's try and see. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Without compromising that DPS.
So Garmin gives average stroke rate and average strokes. So average strokes is 24.1 per length, so which would be close to 2 meters per stroke.
So if you're looking at a minute, it really depends on, I don't know how the Garmin is giving it, whether it's giving per length and not by the minute. So maybe we calculate once by the
Sure.
minute and see.
Sure. Yeah.
So you
Alright.
might then be in this range of 50 to 60.
Yeah. If we double this up, then it would come in this range probably. Yeah.
So then your stroke rate SR is also good. Hey, you're swimming
Thank
at under 2 pace, so you're definitely good.
you. Still, he
So,
can get
coach,
better in.
Yes.
I have a question also.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
How do you calculate the SWOLF again? I didn't understand that.
Okay. I'm going up. So SWOLF is your stroke count. So how many strokes you're taking? So you go to a 25-meter pool. You count from one end to the other how many strokes you took to reach the other end, and you add the time you took. So if you took 1 minute, you will add 60 seconds. If you took just 30 seconds, if you took 20 seconds, you'll add 20 seconds. So the number of strokes and the time you took, and that is your SWOLF.
Ankushna, the Garmin gives you that data.
Yes.
So once you finish that swim, you go to charts, and if you
Yeah,
scroll
yeah,
down,
I
you'll
know.
see that data. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't understand how it was calculated.
Yeah.
Hi, Coach Kanishk here. I also
Yes.
had a question.
Yeah.
So usually we are told to have a high SPM. But what I've realized with me is that as soon as I increase my strokes per minute, my DPS drops to something that I'm not comfortable and more higher RPE. So
Mhm.
for me currently, for a 50-meter pool, I have a 81 SWOLF. I have a 20 SPM and I have a 20.1 average strokes per length. So I feel compared to other swimmers, I feel mine is a little low. My SPM is low, but that also means my DPS is on the higher side. But I feel quite comfortable swimming this way. I
Yeah.
think the challenge would be for my for me is that when we swim in open water, when the currents are high or the waves are higher, I will have to increase my stroke rate, which I'm not accustomed to and which I'm not comfortable with. So what do we do here? Do I practice swimming with a higher stroke rate, or
You do sprint work, sprints to
um
increase the stroke rate?
yes, in sprints I'm increasing my stroke rate, but my regular endurance swim is a lower stroke rate, higher glide.
Tell me your DPS, your SWOLF again. You said it's 80
Swolf is 80,
for a
yeah,
50
for
meter.
a 50-meter pool, yeah.
Isn't that high?
Yeah. So he can work on his DPS as well. I mean,
Okay.
I've seen you swim and you have a good stroke,
Yeah.
a DPS, but let's see first of all, try your DPS in a 25-meter pool and try counting your strokes and let's see how much it is.
In a 25-meter pool, it's around 10.
10 on each arm?
No, average strokes per length is 10.
In a
So I
20.
don't know what it takes. Yeah.
Is it that your form is giving you that count?
No, coach, this is my Garmin as of now.
No, it can't be 10. 10 would be too much of a glide. I think then you should be,
overreaching.
yeah. I think you should be in the range of about 14 or 15. Looking at you
Okay.
swimming, because I am
Yeah.
at 16 and I think your glide has really gone better.
So what you might be doing is you might be holding the glide a little too long, which is why your stroke rate, is low, and you can bring that stroke rate up.
I feel also I've been in a 25-meter pool. I've been pushing off really strong these days.
Yeah.
So
Could be.
maybe that's why
That
my
influences
And
the
if you're using a lot of your tools, then this changes automatically. So
yeah. So I
Okay.
don't know if it came to that, but it will come that don't we're not trying to, get, it was here. The goal is not necessarily to swim with as few strokes as possible. That's not the goal. The goal is to have a good glide. Yeah. So don't do that all the time, that I need to be the least amount of strokes to get to the other side of the pool.
Ashna, can I add a point?
Yes, please.
All right, guys. I know there are a lot of pointers for our beginners would be a little off the scope, so it might be flying off. So don't worry. In the end of the day, everybody will go through it. It's good to know information. For you guys to really know this and get onto it. Just if you're not understanding, just keep it on the side. But it will come in. Remember, swimming is all about getting there and practicing. That's about all. So stay dialed in, stay hooked on to the whole presentation. There's some important pointers coming forward.
Yeah. So this is stuff I will keep telling you when you get to that point in your swimming journey. So, this is just the fact that we said, since we're starting and we have everyone racing and all that, that we would do this. So I'm now going to go down to some common mistakes. Okay. It's a technical sport. You can spend your whole life fine-tuning your swimming strokes. So please be patient. Yes, the more you swim, you will get better, but it takes a while. Secondly, the minutest detail, having your thumb out instead of keeping it in, stuff like that takes out literally milliseconds and seconds from every 100 meters. So yes, we have to keep working on it, but don't overthink it. Remember, if you are a triathlete, dropping so much time in your swim is not going to happen overnight. You would rather drop time over your cycle and run. But yes, of course, we do want to swim more efficiently. So don't look always at the time. Look at the efficiency so that you're coming out of the water, not feeling like a drowned rat, but ready to swim and on. So I'm going to take a couple of the major problems. Of course, I know, that everyone knows there are lots of issues that can happen, but the ones which I really feel are, and this is one which is really a very big issue for a lot of people, is dropping your elbow on entry. And this is when you're not using your traps, which is what coach talked about, your upper body. When we are also keeping our hand tight, then you are going, see, if I keep my hand tight, what happens? My elbow is bent. You cannot do this with a relaxed arm. Your elbow will not be bent. But if you keep it tight, your elbow is going to drop. Yeah. So we want to bring it up. We don't want to drop the elbow. After bringing it up, we don't want to drop it down. Yeah. We have to use our muscles to bring that up. It's a very important point, guys. Please take a video, or if I see you swim, if your elbow, so how the way to know is your fingertips are entering first, and when you push down, you hear a slapping sound with your elbow. So you know my fingers have gone down and then my elbow is come. Way to basically know it on your own if somebody else cannot show you. This is something I saw actually someone the other day. I was observing everyone underwater and I saw this and I said, I'm going to talk about this. It's called putting on the brakes, because very few people realize they're doing this. And some of you might. So I want you to watch his arm, his palm. When enters, can you see? It goes up. Yeah, because you're reaching and you think, I've entered the water, and this is called putting on the brakes. And I've noticed people doing this. So we want to keep our fingertips down. I'm going to just 3 or 4 very critical things. Here's the overreach. Overreach is, of course, one on entry. If you're overreaching, you're then not getting your early vertical forearm. So don't think I see this because I think people want to like sort of reach the other end of the pool, or they think they're gonna swim longer and further if they're going to reach forward. And the other overreaching, Kanishka, is what we said, that we're overreaching. You're probably pushing your elbow really high in when you enter to go further. So we want to enter right at the right spot. And another one of my favorites, wide arm recovery. So if our arm is really high, your stroke rate is really going to go down. We want to keep that really just close to the water. Dead time. This is all dead time. This really takes away both your propulsion when you enter, as well as the time you're taking from entering the water. Okay, so those are just a few critical ones which I felt, you know, a lot of you know the other issues, which, you know, we talked about on technique, where, you know, the head up, the legs bending, those are your basic corrections. But these 4 corrections is something I want you all to check. Other things you should know as a swimmer is treading water, in how to stay afloat in the deep pool or in the ocean, floating on your back, flipping from your front into your back, swimming underwater. That helps you to feel the water. At the end of the day, if you're feeling the water, the more you feel the water, the better you're going to use it to push. And open turns, how to turn and push from the wall. A dive start. Some races are a dive start. And breaststroke, or any alternate stroke. It could even be backstroke, but an alternate stroke that lets you, you know, tomorrow, any reason you have shoulder pain, you cramp, you can do an alternate stroke to get you where you need to go. Okay, in case you cannot see the top, it says, I'm not there yet, but I'm closer than I was yesterday. So guys, be patient and swim fearlessly, and you will swim well. Okay, other questions? I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, I
this.
have one question, Rachna.
Yes, and maybe can I just see everyone? Yeah, thank you.
So, my question is that I feel I have a problem with my left arm where I have a sweeping. When I'm recovering, it goes sweeping around like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the question I have for you is that I was just trying to figure it out. Is it because I'm not rotating enough when I'm gliding forward with my right hand?
No, it is because you're not controlling that arm. So you need to have a little more control in that arm. One of the things we're going to do is I will send you the zipper drill so that you start bringing that arm up and over your head. So you're not basically getting a high elbow in your recovery.
Yeah.
You're just going wide.
But you're supposed to rotate when you swim. What
So,
exactly are you doing
okay,
at that time?
rotation is a natural rotation. Yeah, because your hand and your legs are going to, arms and legs are balancing you out. So your rotation will always be more where on the side you breathe, and a little
Yeah.
less on the side. So it's
Yeah.
not so
Yeah.
much a rotation issue. It is more the fact that you are not, because you're not used to breathing on the left, your left arm is your weaker arm and you're not controlling it. We need a little bit more control in your arm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to see you Tuesday at the pool and we're going to correct that.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I add a point here? Yeah.
Doc, you had a lot of questions. Sorry, who's this?
It was me. I just wanted to add a couple of points here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Guys, I know a lot of you have been swimming regularly and you've been building it up, and few are just going to start. Remember, you know, that as a part of the whole program, the objective is not to make you Michael Phelps. Okay, that's not the objective. We are not going to be sprinters. We are going to be endurance athletes who are majority going to be swimming in open waters. Yes, we'll be doing a lot of swimathons happening in the pools and all also. But we'll be going out and racing as triathletes. In the whole bit of a race, it's about 15 to 20% of the race timing you'll be in the water. Okay, so that's how your training will be built up also. You will be putting in some hours. Now, swimming is a very technical sport. When you start swimming, you find that your progressions are very small, your progressions are very slow. That doesn't mean you're not getting better. Yes, you might not be getting faster, but what you're doing is that you're getting fitter in the water. Like Rachna did pick up the point, that you might be still swimming. Let's say you build up enough fitness that you're swimming 1.9 today, and after 6 months, you're still swimming 1.9 in the same time. What difference it has made over the next 6 months training is maybe not faster, but yes, it has made you fitter if you're doing at least 2 to 3 swims a week. When you finish that 1.9 in, let's say, 40 to 45 minutes, think about what you were feeling 6 months back when you come out of the water. I mean, I had a recent experience with one of my athletes. He said, Coach, when I came out, I was just feeling to throw up. I could just, die. After a span of good about 4 weeks of consistent, about good 3 sessions, now he's saying is that I feel better, I feel fresh. That's the objective. If you're not getting faster, please don't get disheartened. Swimming takes time, years. Rachna has been swimming since she was probably, 3, 4. And a lot of people I know have been swimming since that age. So that has been a sport which has come out very, very naturally. For people who are starting to learn now, there'll be a lot of instructions being given, a lot of information coming through your way. Sometimes you get baffled. Yaar, haath ko sambhalu, pair ko sambhalu, breathe karu, kya karu? There'll be 10 different things you'll be thinking about, and suddenly you feel, man, I don't know what to do. Just focus on one thing at a time. Go slow. Don't get irritated. Don't get frustrated. Don't get baffled that I'm not getting better. Getting better, yes, you're getting fitter. You're learning the skill. It's technical. Yeah, if I tell you to learn to ride a bike today, if you can't balance, you're not going to sit on a saddle and just start riding. It'll take you time. Remember, you're in the water. You are in a different medium. You're not natural to breathing in water. You are in deep depth. The mental, psychological fear is crazy.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. You get better every day, which sometimes you can't measure. Sometimes your Garmin doesn't tell us that information. But trust me, you get better every day. And the only way to get better is by practicing again and again. You can't do one swim in a week, come back after 1 week and think that I'm going to get better in the next swim. No, you're going to get a fresh start on the next week. So you need to be consistent in your swim training.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I wanted to just pick up a few questions that Doc had at the beginning.
Yeah.
He talked about chafing. Now, chafing is what? It's caused by friction. So it's either the friction of your garment on your body, or it's your hair over this thing. If your arm is here and you're breathing, it's your, your beard. So what you do is basically, of course, there can be a stroke correction, as in a little bit, maybe you're turning your head too much, which is why the chafing is happening. But something like garments, tri-suits, you can't do anything about. So you have to use a chafing cream. You have to check that they last long enough. So if you're doing a 3.8, then, you have to use something, check that they will last. Vaseline is a good one. You get special chafing creams for swimming. So that's the one aspect for the chafing. Second thing, Doc, you said about clearing goggles. So big mistake that people do at the start line is that they will put up their goggles and wait at the beach, okay? And that fogs it up. So try and put your goggles on just when you are about to, and then keep them on before you're about to get in, and keep them on. If water fills up, yes, we have to practice that technique of treading. Firstly, you should be a strong treader. Whether you swim in a deep pool or in the ocean, your treading should be very comfortable where you can raise your hands and touch your goggles. Preferably pick up your goggles and put them back on. So yeah, that's a practice that has to be done on how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's a very little thing, what I do is sometimes you feel, that the water is coming in just from here, from your nose. I do this while I swim. I
Okay.
press it down.
Press
The
it.
suction, stays.
Yeah. So another question which I have is that, like we were discussing in the Vietnam group, that it's a clockwise swim, and I am a left-dominated person, so I breathe on the left. So what should be the strategy like? So you start on the inner side so that you can sight people, or nothing of that sort is.
See, when it's anti-clockwise, right side people suffer. You have to sight forward. Sighting
Sight
is
forward.
actually forward. It's not that there's a rope that we can sight, when we are
Right.
swimming with the right or left. It is, you're going to be sighting the boys. So you have to learn to sight forward. Sorry, that's something I did not pick up in the thing, but sighting, there are two methods, and I will put it on all the groups later
Yeah.
about the two different methods to sight.
So what I realized was that when I did the open water this time, when I was sighting, it was breaking my stroke rate, and I had to reset again. So is there? I mean, just practice is going to make it better, or there are techniques how we can
So
improve on
we
that?
all want to show our coach, end of the day, I swam this much, this fast at every training session. So we don't sight because that will make us slightly
Mm.
slower.
Yeah.
Yes, sighting needs to be a part of the stroke, and there is a method to do that. If you're breathing on the left, it is going with your right arm, your head is going up. Yeah. So when your
With the
right
right
arm
arm.
is entering, if you're breathing on your right, with your left arm you're entering, you're taking it
Okay.
up. And you will kick slightly harder at that time, because when you pick up your head, your legs tend to go down. So you have to, and you don't really need to pick up your head too much. Crocodile eyes, just this much. So
Oh.
this comes with practice. Every 6 to 8 is the standard when you should be sighting in a race. So
Perfect. Thank you.
make sure that it's not slowing you down.
Rachna,
Yes.
sighting में can we do breaststroke for that particular time and then continue with freestyle? Because I tried doing that and I was pretty comfortable with it.
You can,
Nah?
but it will overall slow you down.
Okay.
I know you're a strong breaststroker, but moving from breaststroke to freestyle every few, because you see it just takes a few strokes to go off course.
Yeah.
So that means each time you're going to be shifting from breaststroke to freestyle.
Okay, but as Rohan said, even I tried doing, lifting my head and then my knees, my legs drop and my speed definitely decreased. So, I just thought, okay, I'll try doing a breaststroke and I thought it worked for me.
No, what you can
Maybe
do is
not.
swim behind a fast breaststroker instead.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, coach. Good evening. Saransh this side.
Happy birthday, Saransh.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Good evening, Coach Jatin. So, ma'am, I have two questions. First of all, I myself just breathe through the left hand side. So, is it helpful if I start developing both sided breathing? First of all, and second of all, ma'am, we were talking about overreach and all. I still didn't get the point that whether how do I decide whether I'm overreaching or I am underreaching? Because I doubt I am underreaching. I think I might be overreaching because a lot of videos which I see, some people are going all the way till their the elbow is completely extended to grab the water and then come back. And some of them are saying like it should be 3/4, and I wasn't clear by your by the slides also, ma'am.
Okay, I will just come back. The first thing what you said about whether you should be a bilateral breather. So you should, as a swimmer or a triathlete, you should at least be able to swim one lap comfortably on your other side. Now, why is that? Because in a race, or even in the pool when you're swimming, you sometimes have a very annoying swimmer on your breathing side, or you have a wave coming and you want to be able to swim the other way just for a little bit. So yes, please practice that. You may not be the fastest or best with the other side, but you should be able to comfortably swim a few strokes, at least 25 meters, not more, with the other side. So good way to practice is if you have a 100-meter swim, 75 meters on your breathing side and swim 25 meters on the other side to practice, right? It's all about practice. It's not all about the stats. So the other thing you can do is do some drills, single arm drills. So you breathe on the other side, basically drills to practice on the other side. But while bilateral swimming is good over a long distance, you will tend to be faster on your regular breathing side. So if your right side, you swim naturally. I swim all my races on with my right. But of course, there is always a risk of fatigue and injury on that one side. So if you're really, really doing a lot of volume, then you have to also be mindful of that, of wanting to swim both sides sometimes. We have a very distinguished long distance swimmer on this call, and he's done 81 kilometers in Murshidabad. He's doing 16 kilometers in Kochi. Satya, what's your take on that? On both side breathing? Is he there? Okay. Your other question on overreaching. So when you're saying overreaching, you're talking about when your hand is in the pool, in the water. You're talking about the DPS, overreaching the DPS.
I'm talking about when I raise my hand to like the extension of my hand. Yeah, as it
To
enters
enter.
the water. Should it
Yes.
be completely extended or should it be partially extended? It should be 3/4 or half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your entry is definitely going to be just before your wrist in open water. Because of the waves, your reach will be slightly, especially if you're wearing a wetsuit, your reach is a little longer. Yeah. So maybe that's why you're also seeing people where they literally look like they're entering flat, but
Yeah.
they are basically reaching right till the end, as long as you're entering with your fingers first and not flat. So
Okay.
it's just the last bit where they're entering, because that's where you're going to start your pull.
Just to add to it, I was doing a workshop with one of the coaches, and he told me something, about swimming. No matter your hand goes here or your hand goes here, work happens when your hand is in the water and when you're pushing. That is where the work is. That is what propels you to move forward. So I know, Doc, what you're saying is that there are a lot of people who do this, and there are a lot of
Yeah.
people who do this. In
Yes,
the
sir.
end of the day, how you move forward is not here or here. You move forward is when you do this. So
Yeah.
focus on a strong push, whether you're entering it here and you're gliding, or you're gonna. This is what matters, and that's where you need to be a little more, mindful. So yeah, there are different schools of thought. You will see a lot of these guys doing this. I picked up this bad habit also, because that's not corrected me a lot of times that you're really moving forward. But again, it's here what matters. So
Yeah.
pay attention
But
to this.
when you enter, and if you're pushing down, that's what we don't want. So that's where coach is saying that when you enter, even if you're entering flat, you have to ensure that you are bringing your fingertips down and not.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Sure,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Then you're pushing water down. We're not pushing water back. And we
Sure,
want
ma'am.
water back to move forward.
Sure,
Yeah,
ma'am.
guys, any other questions? We can wrap up, and we can also
Yeah.
take Sachin.
Hi, Rachna. I had a quick question. Actually, my right shoulder really bothers me. I had a surgery 7, 8 years ago on my right shoulder. And I grew up, breathing on the right. Like I learned swimming by breathing on the right. Unfortunately, it's my right shoulder, which is causing all the problem. What's the fastest way of learning how to breathe on my left? Because I'm going to need it. I have no choice. Even if I'm slower, just to prevent injury,
Okay. So there is a gentleman by the name of Adam Ocean Walker. Okay, both his shoulders went. He had surgery, and the doctor said you'll never swim again. Now he invented a stroke where he is doing a wide arm. Okay, it's a very different stroke. But if you have a shoulder, I wouldn't recommend it otherwise. I think people who are here are swimming at a 140 145 pace without so we're all traditional swimmers. But look at Adam Ocean Walker for yourself if you feel. that shoulder pain is going to be a persistent thing.
Mhm.
You can look at, again, just drills to swim on the left is what you're going to need to practice. So the same way you learned how to swim on your right, we'll have to make you swim on the left, where you're looking at single arm, basically going back to the basics of breathing, with a kickboard, breathing with your arms to get used to the left.
Okay.
And
Okay.
no hand paddle work for the time being. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no
That
hand
adds a
paddles
lot
at
of
all.
load. Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Thanks.
Guys, while hand paddles and all are great, they do help you feel the water, help you propel yourself. These things, if they're not used correctly, can, aggravate your shoulders. So just make sure that you're not doing more than 20-30% of your workout with your hand paddles, and make sure that you are using it correctly. So learn how to use all your swimming aids, even a pull buoy. If you are clenching it and you're then arching your back because of that, then the whole purpose is lost. So learn how to use the aids before you start using them.
Can we add another tool in the kit, please? Can we add a foam roller?
Yes. And the
Please add
bands.
that. Yeah,
Bands.
because I need all of you to have a foam roller, because post your swim training, you will find your upper back, your traps, your lats all heavy and sore. We will work on a couple of techniques to teach you how to release that. Majority of the injuries happen in the shoulder rotator cuff, traps, and upper back, the scapular region. These three areas are the maximum injury prone for a new swimmer. So please be mindful of that. The fourth area which goes is the ankle, where a lot of triathletes want to run as a part of their training, and cycle also, and that totally takes a lot of load on the ankle. So we will do a lot of drills. You only get better when you practice at it. Same, I mean, it's a common principle. So we'll teach you those techniques so you can add that as a part of your whole kit. Yeah.
So Vishwesh had put in the chat that the stroke on the Garmin stroke per minute is with one hand. So please, guys, go back and recalculate that. It's obviously the one which you're wearing, the hand which is wearing is only picking that up. So guys, I will see you at the pool, most of you, or whenever you do swim. And look forward to a great season. Yes, Doc.
Hey, coach, last question. That's for Coach Jatin. Sir, just you raised the point that swimming is only 2% or something, the least amount for the triathlon. So I just wanted to ask, it's not related to swim. Just wanted to pick your brains. So accordingly, I think cycling is the best thing we should aim for improving the time, or like we can be average in swimming or above average in swimming and running, because cycling is the most distance either way.
Doc, triathlon is a sport where you need to know swim, cycle, run.
Yeah,
and
ma'am.
an important fourth aspect is your transitions, which we generally miss out. So you got to be efficient at all four. Now, I'm not saying you have to be fast. What I'm saying is you have to be efficient.
Yes, sir.
And I'm also not saying that you don't have to get better at all three. You can't. Yes, of course, out of the three disciplines, the main three disciplines, you might not be great at swimming. You could be best at cycling, and you could be average at running. That totally depends on what your favorite sport and how you progress. What I would recommend is that keep practicing. The progression and the improvements you will show in your cycling when you're training will be far more and faster than you will see in swims. So don't neglect the swim bit. Focus on the discipline. Remember, the first thing is you are always horizontal in the water. If
Yes,
you are
sir.
not efficient here, you will come out of the water tired. And when you are sitting on the saddle like this, what you're going to happen is that if you're not efficient and if you're tired, your cycle is going to get compromised, no matter how great cyclist you are. But if you ignore that, your cycle will compromise. And if you do not pay attention to cycling, and when you get vertical, you're going to compromise your runs. So you have to
Definitely,
be
sir.
efficient in all three, maybe not fast, but efficient. And I'm sure that's how you'll keep building it up. So yeah.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Coach, I'm so sorry. I had one very important question which has been bugging me for the last couple of weeks. So when I tried out the wetsuit, I've had 3 swims in it, and I'm just not able to get used to it because my shoulders really burn up when I'm swimming with it, and even 200 meters swimming with it becomes a pain. What I realized is that when I'm in extension, when I'm gliding, that position is where my shoulders start firing because of whatever reason. Maybe the shoulders are too tight in the wetsuit. So, is there any way in which we can overcome this? Should we do more wetsuit swims? Should we strengthen the shoulder? Like, what is the thing that needs to be done here?
Okay, I'm just gonna pick up and then let coach also add in on this. One is warming up without the wetsuit first, your shoulders, because you'll find that in the first few 100 meters, that's when you suddenly feel fatigued, and then it will gradually be okay. Because it's also that the weight of the wetsuit, which I find is, takes a while getting used to when you swim. So I would say first, warm up. Make sure we warm up well, the shoulders. Second, make sure we're wearing it correctly. If it's not on top of your shoulders enough, yes, you're going to feel that. And then third is the stroke. We have to adjust our stroke, everyone differently. You see, we've talked about this, that even your legs buoyancy, you have to practice in it and adjust your stroke a bit to see whether you're overreaching, because you're not going to be bending your arms that much. So for me, it is definitely like, I feel you should practice a lot in that. Coach.
Yeah, I think you need to make sure that you're wearing it well. What happens is if you're not wearing it properly on the shoulders, and when you're reaching, this feels really tight. So you got to be making sure that you're wearing it well. Warm up, like Rachna picked up, and I think we need to practice. You might not want to do long, crazy swims in it, but you might want to. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying the first time I didn't wear it properly, but
Okay.
the second and third time I did properly, so it felt better.
Okay.
Yet, it was quite uncomfortable. I was able to swim slightly longer, but still
It goes
the
with time. It goes with time. In the end is neoprene, which is very tight. It also eases out, it loosens out. So a lot of people initially will feel very, very heavy on the shoulders. And it's again just about practice. You just need to, keep working on it. It'll get better with time. Trust me, it'll get better. I mean, I've done longer swims.
But don't expect a wetsuit to drop your time if you're a fast swimmer already. People who are not good swimmers, who don't have great buoyancy, who have a lot of drag, for them, yes, they will get faster and they really enjoy wearing a wetsuit. I find if you're already a good swimmer, you obviously, because you have a great pull and a strong pull, you feel restrictive. So just get used to it, and get used to it now, early morning swims while the weather is still good.
Also, is it possible to convert my full wetsuit into like a sleeveless one? Like do some stitching wizardry on it and
No. You
And the European
maybe you need to
races-
buy a sleeveless wetsuit.
Yeah, but European races are cold. That's what
Yeah.
they got back to us, because Mohit Nichani had the same idea.
Yeah, but no, you can't cut it, man. I don't think you can. Dry suit, yes, but not the wetsuit.
Okay.
Okay, guys, have a life Saturday night.
And if you're riding tomorrow morning, make sure your bikes are ready for tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Rachna. Thank you, everybody. I've recorded this call, so I'm going to be putting it up on a YouTube channel, and I'll share the link hopefully by tomorrow. But till that time, enjoy your Saturday evening. Don't drink too much. You're going to ride tomorrow morning. So enjoy. Have fun. Thanks, Rachna, once again, and see you guys at the pool soon.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good night.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, coach. Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.